Senator Bernie Sanders and congressional candidate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have been busy campaigning for government-run health care. Watch.
We want Medicare to work for every man, woman, and child in this country.
We want to be a nation that allows improved and expanded Medicare for all.
Medicare for all will be saving middle-class families substantial sums of money.
I campaigned on hard commitments of Medicare for all.
Health care is a human right and not a privilege.
This staple of the socialist platform comes with an eye-popping price tag. A new study from the Mercatus Center finds Senator Sanders' Medicare for All plan would cost over $32 trillion, that's trillion, over the next 10 years. And doubling all federal tax revenue still wouldn't be enough to pay for just that. So Chuck Blahhouse did the study for Mercatus over at George Mason University. You might remember him from the Bush White House, yes. Sanders' office has not even done a cost analysis of his bill. When he announced it, 16 other senators, Democrats, actually co-sponsored it without even a cost analysis. I think we have a list of all of those senators. Charlie, have the Democrats decided that this is where they're going? They are all in for Medicare for all?
Whether they, I'm sure there are some smart Democrats in Washington, certainly out in the country, who are not on board with this. But the fact that so many of their leaders are talking about this, it is absolutely staggering. And obviously, you look at the numbers, and of course it's expensive. We also know that it doesn't work, and you can point to all those.
That's the real key.
Yeah, you can point to all these reasons for rejecting it, but it's the moral issue. It's the idea that these people are perfectly okay with just taking things from people who work and giving them to people who do not work. The whole notion of from each according to his ability and to each according to his need. The question is, who determines what people's ability is and what people's need. If I was in charge, I would say I have no ability, and so I'm not going to do anything, but I have a lot of needs, and so everybody is going to work for me. And I hate to say, I sound like an old man, and I was kind of born an old man, but I mean, kids today, they're not even learning these things. They're not even studying these questions in school. And so, of course, they come out and think, oh, yeah, socialism sounds great.
You talk about the moral issue. I think, Katie, I think that the Democrats say that this is a moral issue, that health care is a right, and that we spend all this time giving rich people tax cuts, and why aren't we paying for this? And it is a message that is resonating. This price tag, they set it aside because they don't even do a cost analysis of their own bill. But this is gaining some traction.
Well, first of all, I understand the old man thing because I call myself the grumpy millennial. So the kids these days annoy me too. Sure. Okay. So let's take this as a moral issue. And we all believe that health care should be provided. This is not the way to do it. The way to do it is through a free market system. And the reason is this has been done before. If you look around the world, whether it's Cuba, Venezuela, or even to Great Britain, it's a matter of cost-benefit analysis. So say you spend the $33 trillion over the next 10 years. What is the result of that? Well, as we've seen in these other places that have implemented some kind of government-run health care, we have seen lack of care. We've seen quality of care go down, a lack of doctors, rationing of care, fatal delays. And so this idea that Bernie Sanders says he wants Medicare for all to work, the key word there is to work. And rationing of care and not allowing people to engage in the system and actually get the care that they have been promised by all these Democrats is not only disingenuous, but they're lying about the fact that everybody can be taken care of at the quality level that they may be getting now or they could get through a free market system.
Here's an example. Peter McMahon, my husband who loves to weigh in on the five. So he is British. He knows the National Health Service well. He works in that field. He sent me this little number today, Juan. Here's an article. Italian doctors are using cardboard as splints in third world clinics of southern Italy. So if you break a limb while you're visiting Italy this year, you don't want to do it down there because they don't have enough material and supplies in order to make a splint for shattered arms and legs.
That's pretty bad. I don't want to go visit, especially with kids tripping me up. I don't know, you might
bring your own bandages if you're going to Italy for vacation.
But
guys.
I will say this, and this is what Bernie Sanders said in response to this study. First, he went after the Koch brothers who paid for the study, and they said, oh, they are opposed to health care. They just want to maintain the status quo. He also said that about the Democratic establishment, by the way. But the fact is that most of the Western world has Medicare for all. And not only that, they provide health care at a lower cost with better outcomes than we have in the United States. So when people say, hey, leave it to the free market,
According to who?
According to every study. Nobody, that's not an argument about
I
that.
don't even challenge
Every
that.
study? Name one.
Name one. I don't have
It's
to
the
name
One
them.
Institute.
Name one study.
There's
Just
all
one.
these studies that have indicated that we spend the most on healthcare, Jesse.
For quality
Of
health care
no, it's
compared
not.
to the
This
rest
is
of the
what I was
world.
going to say.
One,
And
you
the
can still get a
reality
regular
is that
cast in our
our emergency rooms are jam-packed with people
And you get
who
a real
should
cast.
be getting primary care. They shouldn't be in the emergency room, and they're driving up my cost, your cost for health care.
Our system isn't perfect, but let me get Jesse in there. Tell us what we need to know about this.
Well, I have a little anecdote like the Italian one. In Venezuela, sick people are taking dog medicine. That's how bad it is in Venezuela. And this is how they pay for it. They're going to have to, in order to get to 32 trillion in America, they will have to raise the top rate from 37% to 74%. They will raise middle-class tax brackets from 20% to 30%. They're going to take the corporate tax rate from 20 to 40%. Then they're going to impose a carbon tax. Then they're going to impose a 20% national sales tax. Then they're going to take the payroll tax and jack that up to 10%. And then they were going to say, we want to bring U.S. military spending to the level of France. And even that, after all that still doesn't pay for
And then in the end, Margaret Thatcher would have been correct about the problem of socialism is running out of other people's
you know where
money.
we've heard this before? We've heard this from people who said, Social Security, that'll kill the country. That's socialism.
Well, give it 12 more years. All right, basketball star LeBron James claiming President Trump is trying to divide the country. Hear his stinging words when we return.
LeBron James crying foul on President Trump. The NBA superstar slamming the president, claiming Trump is using sports to pull Americans apart.
You know, we are in a position right now in America, more importantly, where this race thing is taking over. He's dividing us, and what I noticed over the last few months, that he's kind of used sport to kind of divide. I would never sit across from him.
You would never? You didn't want to talk to him?
Nah. I sit across from Barack, though.
Meanwhile, Kim Kardashian taking a different approach. She's worked with the president on clemency for a drug offender, and she refused to trash Trump while being pressed by Jimmy Kimmel. Watch this.
I have nothing bad to say about the president. You know,
right,
he's done
you
something
still have people
amazing.
on the list.
So
you know.
I'm very focused, and but I don't agree with everything either.
So my sports fan friend Charlie's here. So Charlie, you're a guy who follows sports like I do. You hear LeBron James come out in this way and say, in fact, Trump is offering cover to encourage people to say racist things, behave badly in the country. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I love LeBron James. I admire him. I think he's an amazing athlete and obviously has worked very hard to accomplish all that he's accomplished. But I think his read here is disastrously wrong. First of all, I think a lot of this stuff started with the NFL kneeling. And the problem with that is that the national anthem is the one, we can all have our disagreements, and we do have our disagreements, and that's fine. But the one moment where we're all supposed to all stop and remember that we're all on the same team and we all are aiming to make this country a better country is when we say the national anthem. And so when you have these guys coming out trying to make a political statement at that moment, it doesn't work, and it really does fracture the fabric of society, I think. The second thing, of course, is that this after 8 years of President Obama, who managed to, I think, politicize absolutely everything, including the CIA and the IRS. But also, to a large degree, President Obama had an opportunity, I think, to heal a lot of racial disagreements in this country. And I think you would agree. I don't think that we're better off after 8 years of that. And I was somebody who actually really did believe in 2008 that the good that would come out of, I didn't support him and wouldn't have voted for him, but the good that could have come out of that would have been some amelioration of that.
So Dana, Kim Kardashian, on the other hand, has worked with the president and gotten a woman, Alice Johnson, released from prison. She was there on a low-level drug crime
Right.
conviction.
Well, it wasn't, as Jesse pointed out, I mean, it wasn't that low level, but did the grandmother deserve to be granted this clemency? I think so. And what Jimmy Kimmel said is there are other people on the list, like Matthew Charles, who is wrongly in prison right now. And so I hope that that case it's right now before the Justice Department. Hopefully that one will get some attention as well. I think that she's kind of got the right idea here, which is that if you've got an issue and you want somebody powerful to help you solve it, you can figure out a way to work with them. And I think that LeBron James, I respect him. His decision to not want to sit down across from him, that's fine. But he is a leader in the country, LeBron James, and in sports. And he has the power to meet, and he has the power to convene. And if he changes his mind, I think that he might find a willing partner in the president to have a conversation at least.
Yeah, I think that he should give the president actually a little more credit, because if you had this meeting, I think Donald Trump would actually listen to his concerns and see what he could do within his administration to kind of help him further his goals. I mean, he seems like he's doing a lot of really great things. He just opened a school, Promise School, yesterday in Ohio to help the Ohio public school system with the lowest performing students to bring them out of poverty so they actually have a future. This is a president who believes in school choice to give students in poor neighborhoods a better future for themselves. So I can understand why he wouldn't want to sit down. That's totally his right and his choice not to. But I think he actually could maybe have an impact on the president and use the power of the federal government to help some of his programs.
So, Jesse, but it seems like everybody here doesn't want to talk about Trump igniting racial division in the country. And I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, in fact, LeBron said after, some of the things that Trump has done, he worries about his kids.
Well, I mean, he has a right to worry about that. That's fine. And LeBron has put his money where his mouth is. He's doing a lot for education in the state of Ohio. I just disagree with his strategy. I would sit down with the president. The president will sit down with Kim, the mullahs, Kim Kardashian, to everybody, and they can get results. And Kim has gotten results, not the one in North Korea yet, but Kim Kardashian. I don't believe that Trump divided at all on the anthem. I believe Trump led on the anthem. It was Kaepernick and the other people that knelt and started the division during a time when there should be unity there. And it's not a divided issue on that point. It's not a 50-50. It's like 70-30 on kneeling during the anthem. And among NFL fans, it's about 90-10. Right. So I would expect the president to come out and stand with the flag on that.
Well, I just don't think that most Americans thought that there was a big controversy when this first started. I think Donald Trump used it in a way to stir his base.
I think we covered it pretty much in 2015.
All right. For all of you suffering from gut-filled monologue withdrawal, never fear, Greg is here. And he's given us a sneak peek of his exciting new book. That's next on The File.